Blog Talk Radio.
Hey guys, this is Those Guys with your host Matt Marrero, along with the other host
Tristan Walter.
And we brought something back, Tristan. Look at this. Look at this. We brought something back. We brought back TV Tuesdays, which haven't been able to do for a while. Sadly, one of our hosts, Anthony St. Andres, has something called a job, so he hasn't really been around as much. Also, something called a college education. I don't know. I feel like he's making these things up sometimes. But, he hasn't really been able to be around because of those two aspects of his life, right? So we haven't been able to do TV Tuesdays. I'm pretty sure last TV Tuesdays episode that we did actually was me and him did, and I say me and him because Sandwell and me, was Daredevil Season 1 on Netflix. So we've kind of been having a lack of TV Tuesday content, but then Sandwell and Me comes out, and at first I was telling Tristan, let's push this for Anna Saturday. Tristan understandably said, not only is it not anime, but we have so much anime to put out, or just general animation to put out for Anna Saturday. So let's see what else we can do. And I really thought long and hard, and I remembered that, of course, we have TV Tuesdays. So let's try to, do a nice little mini short episode, just kind of, just not because I don't want to spend too much time on this, because literally there are a series of not even 5-minute, 3-minute shorts. So there's not really much to talk about. But I do think that we can at least, bring some of our brand of us to the discussion on Sandwell and Me, which is a very bizarre series. But I have to say I quite enjoyed it for what it was. And, of course, yes, if anyone wants to know, Sandwell and what?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say Sandwell and Me was on Toonami recently, a 5-part event that they did. And, again, very short, made by the creator of Ghost in the Shell. And, I want to hear your take on it, Tristan, before I rant for our allotted, 20 to 30-minute slot that we have here.
Well, it's funny. I don't know. I have one of those things that you mentioned that Anthony St. Andres also has, but I don't have the other, so I don't know whether that makes me better or worse in this case. But
right,
anyway,
of course, right.
I did enjoy Sandwell. I thought it was rather strange, but very charming in its own sense. It had a very, very interesting video game kind of feel to it. And I kind of wish
clearly
it was
that's what they were going for, yeah.
Yeah. I kind of wish it was a little bit more than 5 minutes each, but, I understand that's what they were going for in the first place, so. Because a little bit more explanation about what the fuck was going on would have been nice, but, whatever.
Yeah, I have to admit, it's always fun when you don't know what's going on in a world, but after a while it grows tiresome. So thankfully, that's why it made sense to make them shorts, because you can't grow tired of a world that you're not getting that much of.
Yeah,
so,
it was kind of funny how each episode started and ended the same way, pretty much.
I think that, that's something that's very interesting. And, I don't want to delve too much into it, but I do think that that's kind of like a joke on the Japanese day. I.e., oh, yes, you wake up in the morning, get ready, you're a salaryman. You know what I'm saying? You go to work, and then you come home at night, and then you're eating alone or eating with family at the dinner table, and then, bam, that's it, right?
Feels like the American life, too.
You could argue that, too, but, I feel like, fair enough. But, again, this is obviously a Japanese-made show, so I talk about this from the Japanese perspective of, being, in a very controlled lifestyle. And the reason why I say that is because even though I haven't seen Ghost in the Shell, I've also heard, pieces of that in Ghost in the Shell as well, trying to when it comes to Japanese technology, it's more so, not lampooning, but, it is referencing it in a way, from what I've heard. We will do Ghost in the Shell eventually, though, on this podcast. Don't worry, everybody. But still, what I think is more interesting isn't that I know, right? Yeah, future. But very bold. But one thing that I think I'm confused about, really, obviously, yes, when someone has a very large amount of success, they can pretty much get anything greenlit to a certain degree, right? But what's very interesting, not that this show was greenlit, because I can understand this show being released as like web shorts or something funny like that, or late night Japanese television in the middle of some anime. They'd air something like this as well, in my opinion. It's live action, but I still think it holds its own in that very like late night feel to it, right? Like I feel like it can be in the same arena with anime and not seem awkward and different.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, though, I do wonder how it was greenlit for an American audience. I know it's Toonami, but I think it's so interesting that Toonami or Cartoon Network, picked it up and put it on, Toonami. I know that they're only like 5 minutes long anyway, so it doesn't it's not like it's hurting them in any way. But I just think it's so interesting that it was even brought over to American shores, because when you watch this show, especially if any of you did watch it through Toonami. By the way, it's on their website. It's on Adult Swim's website if you still want to watch it. All parts. So all 5 parts are on their website. But I still feel like it's so strange that it even came over here. But your thoughts, Tristan?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the main point that why it was running on Toonami, it's like it's always good to get like something different in there once in a while, and I feel like Toonami does that, just at least enough to shake things up once in a while. And because it was 5 minutes, it was so easy to integrate into the lineup and just have something different. Be like, hey, have you seen like this weird like 5-minute clip? It's like, it's almost like how they try and play their promos sometimes, or have like Tom talk about game reviews, or like even those sometimes about just Tom talking like a 4-minute spiel about life, and it's like it's kind of nice, it's a little different and it's a little something extra.
No, you're very right about that, and I say this because you look at Toonami's lineup, and they've always tried to go a little bit different in some form or another. I mean, because even looking at some of the anime that they used to have, even though at one point it was all anime, still, in my opinion, putting up something like Zoids was relatively different. You know what I mean? Like compared to the Dragon Ball Z, Rurouni Kenshin, Yu Yu Hakusho. Yeah, Zoids is different, right? So I feel like every once in a while, even if they stay in the anime realm, they do something a little bit different, or they try to get cartoons on, which of course are usually going to be very different than the anime that they have on as well.
Samurai Jack.
So yeah, they're always, Samurai Jack. That's what he coughed, everyone. I actually thought he was seriously coughing, and I was like, motherfucker, so close to the phone. Mute the phone if you cough, Tristan. So yeah, I sat back and I was like, okay, they're going to do something. They're going to try and do something different. But I actually thought from the first 50 seconds that there was a lot more animation that was going to be incorporated into the show, because from the looks of it, I'm pretty sure like the opening sequence is anime. That isn't like CGI. That's anime.
Right. So
I thought the rest of the series was going to incorporate some weird hybrid of anime and live action in a cool way, but still weird. And then they just kind of kept it live action with some CGI thrown in. And that really threw me off. Also would like to mention, I would think the CGI was so good because they were shorts.
Yeah.
Like if they had to keep that up, I don't think they could. Like I think the budget would suffer heavily. Now, they could lampoon, they could make a joke about it by having like the sand whale be like 3 sticks or something like that, but and just be like, no budget left. But I feel like they didn't want to go for that kind of like, that's something that you'd see more. There was this a live action show, I think I told you about it, called The Hero Yoshihiko, where it was literally called a no budget live action RPG because it made fun of those RPGs. There was literally one point when all 4 people were in a house. They walked in a line and destroyed every pot.
Right.
And someone walked in and was like, why are you destroying all my pots? And, like, they didn't know what to say. Well, we thought there might be something inside them. Why would you do this?
There's a very specific coded reason for that.
Yeah. But anywho, so, yeah, I like the show. It was, it was just, something I wanted to mention earlier. I just want to, hear how you feel about it. How do you feel about the fact that there was no dialogue at all? Did that make it better or worse for you?
It's interesting because it's different having no dialogue, and I laugh saying that because talking about Samurai Jack and usually like how it doesn't have much dialogue, but usually when something very important is going on, there is dialogue. So this having almost no dialogue whatsoever was a little jarring, I think, but I guess that's what they were going for. Like, it was just an aesthetic choice that they chose to go with, and I'm fine with that. But
well, it depends.
I mean, I feel like
they wanted
a little description would have been nice about just even the planet they were on or the war that was being fought above it, you know?
Yes. I would like to say that, it's interesting because I actually thought you'd go the opposite way because usually you're someone who, like you said, you like Samurai Jack. So I was thinking, he'd love that we're able to feel everything, via via just their actions. But I can understand why you go with that because I'm someone who, and it sucks because I want to live in a world where we could all see something without dialogue and we're all like, yeah, this is amazing because they're getting this across via this and this and this. And of course, as an actor, as a chump, as an amateur actor as I am, I understand that it is obviously harder for the actors to try to emote and not have any dialogue whatsoever. That made things extremely hard for them, right? But what I want to say is just that sadly we don't live in a world where we can just kind of sit back and appreciate like no dialogue whatsoever. So yeah, after a while, I would prefer even something small.
Right.
But yeah, I think they went with that though. I think that's the choice they went with because if they were thinking of marketing it to a foreign fan base, it doesn't have to just be American, foreign. You would assume that they needed to, have no dialogue because would you have subtitles? You wouldn't dub it. Although I have to say that the show lent itself to being to having like an American dub, like an English or are there foreign dubs? Like the kookiness kind of lends itself to a dub, in my opinion. But I think maybe for them it made it easier in a sense to just not have dialogue. But for the actors, I don't think it was easier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as having a dub, I would agree with that more because it feels like the one other character that comes in, another paratrooper that crash lands on this planet. I don't know, maybe it was just me or maybe seeing, the Japanese and American flags in their inventory at some point. It felt like it was like almost supposed to be like an American soldier and a Japanese soldier together, and they're just stranded on the planet. And I guess in a way, like I feel like the no dialogue is kind of going with a game theme, and even the sense of you don't get much, plot or anything. Like it almost feels like it's a satire on like first-person shooters. It's like, yeah, there's this war. You were crash landed and you fall on this planet. You need to survive. Go. It's like, all right, what do I have? You look through your inventory. It's a bunch of useless shit. But the fact that they just meet each other and they kind of talk to each other here and there, but most of it is just looking at each other or through their actions. So I don't know. I found it interesting, but a little hard to follow at times. But I feel like it is really playing up to that. Like this is a game. Like this whole 5-part series is just looking at a game almost.
Yes, I don't know if the fans heard the trouble because I heard some trouble with your phone. So I don't know if the fans heard that. So I just want to clarify. You were saying that it was a little bit hard to follow because of the no dialogue, but you really do feel like it's a game, right? And that that's what they were really trying to go with, which I think that in some ways they weren't, which was a problem. I don't think they committed to it enough, but when they did, it was definitely a lot of fun. So I actually would have preferred that they went even heavier.
Yeah, especially at the very beginning when the I would assume the Japanese paratrooper, when she crash lands. I love her costume, by the way. Holy crap, that was amazing. But the fact that she starts interacting with whatever she finds and either tries like just to interact with it or to either eat it, and it ends up killing her, and it's like, that feels very game-like. It's like, let's find all the things that can kill me first.
Yes. One thing I found interesting, and I want to mention to you, it's kind of, I guess I'll say sad in a way, because like what ends up happening is a lot of Japanese stuff that I've seen, right? So I'm only coming from my perspective, not in general. A lot of Japanese stuff that I've seen, they'll try to tell you, oh, that's an American. And you're like, look, I want to suspend my disbelief, but that's a Japanese man. And then you look it up, and then they're not like half American or half foreign. They're just fully Japanese. Yeah. So I do wonder if that's because of, who they're, not just who they're casting, but like who lives in the areas, because obviously Japan, is mostly Japanese, to be very fair.
Right.
So I don't know, I don't have any stats on American actors who are fluent in Japanese, although in this case you didn't need to be. That's another sad thing. You didn't need to be fluent in Japanese. Although here's the thing, though. You may have, because if you dumped me in Japan and then had the director giving me directions in Japanese, I would not know. So I don't know what the the amount of actors who, are just actively in Japan, who are either American or foreign, who are acting, who could have pulled off that role. But I do think that, it is a little weird when, not that you can't be Asian and American, duh.
Right.
But assuming that they are both Japanese as actors, it doesn't look like there's much of a difference to say, oh, yes, here's my American flag, here's my Japanese flag. See, we're different, you and I. It's just like, it would, I don't know. Like, even though anyone can be American, it would just be weird if two white people did that. And one flag was from a different, even maybe, of course, if you're like, oh, well, South Africa. Like, that's one I can think of. Or, of course, if you're like, well, I'm German and you're American, so that's different. Like, yes, but, like, still, I don't know. It just, when you have that, it felt like it was supposed to be more of a contrast, right? To be like, well, I'm a Japanese soldier, well, I'm an American soldier. And it wasn't, because the two, unless they were going for, no, they're both the same. Don't worry about the flag. Like, that's the point. They're the same. That would be nice. But again, of course, hard to tell without any dialogue. So a lot is really left up to your interpretation. Not you specifically, Tristan Walter, although we could hear your entire interpretation of the show and make it canon. But it's everyone's interpretation. And it's very,
I feel like it was supposed
to be
portrayed more through the mannerisms, I guess.
Yes.
Like the other soldier being a little bit more brash, I suppose. Or Yeah.
But I love that the two of them were able to work together very easily. Like, wait a minute, Samuel, fuck it, come on. Why are we fighting?
Yeah, and I guess this might have been a joke just lost on us, but the cans of green peas, I guess like peas in a can. It's like those are the only rations that they have to survive on. It's like yes, this will be enough to keep me to help me survive until my side can come and pick us up and either rescue me or rescue us. This will sustain me, and I have apparently a refillable water bottle that I just need to shake and I'm good. That also makes me feel like game, because the health spray, the staying by a campfire at night, which granted you would do in a survival situation anyway, but it feels very game-like. There were just so many things, like the spyglass that she takes out, the running animation that you see her go through, the walk cycle that starts off every episode. Even then, the enemy stats and attacks are on screen. Her inventory.
You know what I love about... Yeah, I think what I love about her walk cycle so much is that at first I thought it was her actually walking. I then realized that she obviously is walking, but there's a green screen in front of her. They just melded her into the green screen. Like at first I was like, oh yeah, she's walking up the path, and they put obviously the filters, and they put, what's it called? The overlay. I mean, technically a filter, I guess. But like they put the effects on there. Like, oh, here's your health, here's your name, and stuff like that. It was just so strange though, because like it hit me. I think episode maybe like 3. I was like, wait a minute, that's not real. That's a green screen in front of her. They just they just edited her in nicely. So that's one thing that's funny. What I found really weird, and I think this was lost on us, is her name. Her name is KFC.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know because you know what I think of.
Well, yes.
KFC.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird, like, because the other guy's name was Sandman, and then her...
That was really cool,
I wasn't sure if that was her actual name, or whether that was a code name, or what. Like, maybe it was a code name for either one of them, so I'm not sure.
It makes sense if he's Sandman, but also with the way he seemed to be equipped to take them down from afar, especially like the sand whale, I think Sandman was an appropriate name.
Yeah, the electric sniper bullets, that was really interesting.
Ooh.
That and the whales themselves, I was really, like, I was laughing at the design because they actually look like prehistoric whales, but they have actual, like, it looked almost like metal in their heads and backs, so it's like cybernetics attached to them as well. So it's like, what the hell is going on with this planet?
Yeah, what I found interesting was the fact that the show even went in the direction that it went in. And I say this because, and again, this is coming from all the Japanese stuff that I've watched, right? It's not like the Japanese are not going to eat meat, right, or fish.
Yeah.
Right? Yes, they will.
Right.
But I usually don't see series that, like, someone is on the hunt or talks about being on the hunt for an animal of some kind. So I think it was very strange that they actually went with a show that not only had her be like, I'm going to, like, at first it was funny. Oh, I'm going to kill that. Why? Because of the meat. But then as they went on, I don't know if they realized, like, the sound effects they used weren't that funny. And by the way, I would like to remind everyone, I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian. I love eating meat. It's just that it felt strange, I think, in a way. Now, granted, some would say, well, she's a soldier that's starving. Of course she's going to want, or at least want something different. You can't just live off of peas, right? You do have to have some meat in your diet. But still, I don't know, like something about the sound effect, sound effect they had going. That was a perfect representation, by the way. So I deserve the Oscar. But the sound effect that they had going for it whenever they flashed to it, and then after it happening for so long, and then having her crunch into it when it's done, I don't know. It just maybe, granted, it might be stuff that someone would say no, but that'll happen in an anime, maybe, like if it really needed to happen. But I don't know. Like from what I've seen, it feels a little bit too, and I don't mean this because it's a foreign show. It does seem foreign as a concept, and a little off-putting. I don't know. Like, I understand she has to survive, but usually, like, I don't know, it's funny. Usually when it comes to Japanese stuff, I see the opposite. Like, we must protect the earth and the wildlife. Love everything.
That's why,
and here she's...
That's why I really look at this as a game perspective, like, as like it's being portrayed as a video game. Because... Yes. Like, that's my objective, it's an objective, and it's like, I need this to survive, and yada, yada, yada. Or even the fact that she loots, Sandman's body when she first comes across him. She doesn't even check if he's actually alive or not, or pull him out. It's like, oh, you have this really cool rifle. Well, yoink.
Yeah, I know. It was funny. What I think was also funny is her trying to open the giant can of sand whale meat.
Tell me you noticed the 50-ton hammer.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Oh, my God.
The whole thing was beautiful. I think her just hitting her head. And the sound effect, by the way, there were sounds, just they were mostly done via sound effect or like, thank you, yes, thank you, yes.
And I love it. I love it, the fact that a lot of them felt like old-time, fighting game combos, too. A lot of the moves she was using to try to open the can.
What I loved is that it was always press space. Because, from someone who... Take it from someone who, and I'm sure obviously people play games, I know, but seriously, just take it from someone who does, who does Let's Plays, right, who plays games for a living. There's just a lot of pressing space or a lot of button mashing in places that aren't just fighting games. So, like, to have that there was so much fun. Just like press space, like really thinking that if she presses space hard enough, she's going to rip up the can. And then she didn't. She ripped her arms off.
Right.
Yeah, so overall, it was a fun little series. We're gonna wrap things up now because there's really not much else to say about it, honestly. But it was a lot of fun for what it was.
Aside from the ending,
and
dear God.
Well, I know to you, you're like, oh, but they didn't catch her, so that's terrible. But for me, or find her. But for me, it's just kind of like, well, she's able to eat another night, and hopefully she has more meat stored because of how huge that thing is. Hopefully that's not all the meat she got. What?
Yeah. They didn't actually catch the whales. I mean...
Oh.
She's eating his leg. Sandman's leg.
Oh, I didn't notice that. Oh.
That's what I got, because there's a bandage around him and he's lying next to the campfire and she's eating meat. So that's what I got.
Sorry about that. So now we have a discrepancy live on the air. Well, Matt's going to put on Day 5 Showdown in the background. Usually I have these playing, but they're all 5 minutes and they're all on my DVR, so I'm not just going to come back and forth.
Right.
But anywho, so Tristan, how are you doing? How was your day? I'm about to see if a man's leg was eaten. How are you doing?
Because the whale, it looked like they got the whale, but then it rose back up, and then it starts spitting out more Greenpeace cans.
Which was funny, but I thought that when she was knocked out, she woke up, and, I don't know, I assumed that there was...
Yeah,
also
no,
because
I
it made
think
the same
they got
sound
away
effects.
again.
Oh, good God, you're right. You know what it is? It's not that they had a bandage around his leg. They probably had the actor bend his leg to make it look like it wasn't there, and then the shoe was just there.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm just like, his shoe was off. I mean, it's him.
Yeah.
Oh, good God, she's eating his leg.
Yep.
So that changes the show for me now, but...
Yeah!
But...
Because it kind of feels like that video game logic of, I don't know, chaotic neutral. It's like, well, I couldn't get the objective. I need meat. You're an NPC. Fuck it.
All right, I would like to clarify that I don't know what games he's playing, and they haven't been on our show, Those Guys Play, which you could find on YouTube. I can assure you that's not...
No, I'm not saying I would play it like that. No, even in games, I wouldn't chop off a guy's leg and eat it. That's not what I'm about.
The sad part, I'm just saying that the sad part is that we had to get to a part of this conversation where you had to say that out loud. Doesn't that make it worse?
I mean, all right, fair enough.
We had to get to a part of the conversation where you had to be like, look, I wouldn't eat a man's leg, okay? Apparently there's some discrepancies here.
Yeah, right.
So to clarify, would not eat a man's leg. It's like, why were people assuming that, Tristan?
Well, I'm just going to clarify that, just for the record.
I'm sorry, I just love that sentiment. I would like to record the show that I would not eat a man's leg. Did he say that? Was he poked and prodded to say that? No, it just came out.
Or a woman's leg.
Or
anyone's leg, for that matter.
No, it was just in my head.
Just
it's
to cover all
when you
of
have
my
to say that out loud.
While we're here.
Look, I'm just saying, when you say it out loud, it makes people think that you would eat a man's leg. I'm just saying. Well,
I mean, when we saw it on screen, and here it is, even though it's, obviously it's not real, but, just saying. Oh, no, they had that actor sign an agreement. It was all real. It's pretty intense. Oh, jeez.
Heard about
all
it on the news.
Well,
anyway.
Well, that changes my reflection on this.
No, I have to understand. That's my favorite. I always do that all the time. No matter what I'm watching, I watch it with someone, and they'll be like, "Oh, that effect was cool." Someone will explode on a motorcycle. So that'll be real. That's really cool. I can't believe that happened. I'm like, yeah, the crazy thing actually happened. Signed a release form and everything. The guy's dead. I always love doing that. For action movies, how did they get him to fall off the building? Funny story. They just pushed him off. Sucks. And we just leave it there. But anyway, so we're going to wrap things up, apparently on cannibalism, I guess, or pushing people off buildings. I don't know which is better, honestly. I'll say this much, though. I'm pretty sure I'll say this much. I'm not saying this makes it any better. I'm pretty sure he was dead, though. She found him dead again. or like officially dead. And she's like, well, because his legs were sticking out of the thing. Yeah, because sticking out of the thing. Like, I assume he's dead. Which sucks.
Yeah, well, she found him that way the first time, and he was alive. So that's why I was like, I really sincerely hope he's dead at this point, because I really, really don't want him to wake up to find that.
No.
She'd be like, oh, the sand whales attacked us.
Where's my leg? Why are you full? Anyway, so.
Sand whale.
You're sand whale, man. Anyway, so. I would like to thank everyone for listening in to this very, very short podcast. I can't believe I sheltered myself. I sheltered my brain. She ate the sand whale because they got it off screen. No, Matt, no.
No, Matt.
Yeah, so thank you all for listening.
I'm here to show you the nightmares are real, Matt.
Okay, we're gonna cut this off.
TV Tuesdays.
Yeah, no, apparently this is why I just don't get them on for TV Tuesdays, because TV Tuesdays turns into cannibalism when Tristan's around.
Cannibalism Tuesdays.
No. Anyway, so thank you all for listening in. Thank you for listening to us. I don't know where you're listening to us from. You could be listening to us through our Blog Talk Radio account, which is blogtalkradio.com/thoseguysontherradio. You could be listening to us through iTunes by searching up Those Guys on iTunes, or you could be listening to us, our backlogged shows, right, our show archived over at Those Guys on the Radio. Search that up to find us on YouTube. I mentioned earlier that Tristan and I have played and are still playing a bunch of different games over at our Those Guys Play YouTube channel. Search up Those Guys Play and you'll find us there. And also, we have a Patreon as well, so check out our Patreon, which is Teach Productions. Depending on how much you donate there, you actually could suggest a podcast to us, and we'll do it. A podcast doesn't have to be on a specific show. It doesn't have to be something like, oh, hey, it doesn't have to just be your thoughts on a specific series or our thoughts. It can easily be something like, hey, top 5 anime themes or top 5 anime characters or something like that. Also, you could also suggest a video game for us to play on our Let's Play series. Any host, you can mix and match any host you want, and within reason. But I mean, pretty much we can mix and match any host for specific Those Guys Play Patreon episodes. And you can also, depending on what you donate to, we actually give you a shout out, and you can be a sponsor for one of our shows. So for a few of our shows every month, be it on a podcast or be it on a website. And also the merchandise you can get over at our main website, teachproduction.net/merchandise. Not just teachproduction.net/merchandise, or at our eBay, which is /ThoseGuysRadio. So I want to thank you all, and this was a lot of fun, and it was very interesting, but it was fun. So take care, everyone, and hope you have a good night. So say good night, Tristan.
Good night, everyone, and happy hunting.
Jesus.